The character of Tory Nichols, like many others in this show, have gone through so much change and development in the series so far, even after only appearing in 3 of the 4 seasons. But it wasn't always that way. Her appearances in seasons 2 and 3 was much more of a one-note character with only one goal in mind. But in season 4, we received a refreshing perspective of her character and what she now values in her life. What is happening, fellow Cobras? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be taking a deep dive into the character of Tory Nichols, revisiting her journey in each of her appearances in the Cobra Kai series, and what I think really clicked for her to be able to change for the better into a good person, along with why this will pay off for her in the long run. But one more quick thing before we get started: if this is your first time being here and you love Cobra Kai and Karate Kid just like the rest of us, you're in the right place. Consider joining our dojo today by hitting the red subscribe button down below and turning on all notifications so you never miss a new video when it gets uploaded. The character of Tori was of course absent from the first season of the show and wasn't introduced until season 2 episode 4 titled Moment of Truth, where she entered the Cobra Kai dojo and showed her confidence by challenging the All Valley champ Miguel Diaz in a sparring match where she did very well for herself and revealing that she only had a handful of kickboxing lessons. And after class she befriended a fellow student Aisha Robinson in the mini mart, as Aisha was glad that she's not only the only girl in Cobra Kai anymore. And this led to Aisha inviting Tori to go to the country club with her to hang out, which Tori was hesitant about at first, but she reluctantly accepted. And while they are at the beach club together, they run into Sam, who's trying to make up with Aisha for what happened at the Valley Fest. And as Sam and Aisha were talking alone, Tori comes back revealing that she swiped a bottle of vodka from the bar, and Sam advises her to put it back because it could get her into trouble. And as a little bit of time passes later on, Sam's mother, Amanda, notices that her wallet is missing, and that causes Sam to jump to conclusions by confronting and accusing Tori of taking it. Tori, feeling disrespected for the false accusation, attempts to storm off upset. Sam then tries to reach into her bag, and Tori reacts by pushing her into the table of food. And this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is what started it all between these two. Episodes pass in this season, and then Tori starts showing a real interest in Miguel romantically, who tries to get his attention, but notice that he's working on his computer all night at the restaurant. And she discovers that he's making something for Sam, trying to win her back. And after Tori recognizes Sam from the country club and that now she's Miguel's ex, Tori basically tells Miguel that he needs to forget about her and move on, which would then spark the relationship between Tori and Miguel, who really hit it off when they visit the playground when the planes fly in. And as Tori progresses in the Cobra Kai dojo, Sensei Lawrence takes a leave of absence to tend to his sick friend Tommy, and then Kreese of course begins instructing the students with the same ruthless philosophies that he taught back in the 80s. And the one who perhaps takes this the most to heart was Tori, saying that life shows no mercy, so why should we? And it was at this moment when we got a little bit of backstory on Tori and her mother and how she was trying to support her kids, and then eventually got fired for just trying to feed her family any way she could. As the season headed into the climax, Johnny of course returned and noticed that the students are undergoing the teachings of Kreese now. Miguel, Tori, Hawk, and the rest of the Cobras are taking these teachings to heart, and he definitely doesn't like what he's seeing from them. And this leads to Sam and Tori meeting for the second time when Sam and Robbie visit the roller rink for a date, while Tori is working there and Miguel is there to have his own kind of special date thing while she's working. And at first there's no serious tension, just some words and looks exchanged, but this is where Sam learns of Tori and Miguel's relationship and how they know each other. At the roller rink, Miguel would attempt to make amends with Sam to clear the air, but Tori would see the two of them together, and this would cause her to knock Sam down when she walks by, and Sam would sweep her leg, causing Sam and Robbie to get kicked out of the rink. Right before the season finale, Moon would have a party where Sam and Tori would meet once again. And just like at the roller rink, there's no immediate conflict, just tension from the past events. The two girls would partake in a competitive drinking contest where Sam of course came out on top. Angered by this, Tori would storm off to cool down, and Sam would go outside to get away from the crowd as well. And Miguel once again would go to talk to Sam to see if she's okay. But the only difference this time is that Sam is very drunk and ends up kissing Miguel while Tori sees in the distance. And in Tori's mind, this is the last straw for her. They say that the third time is the charm for a reason, and this is what just absolutely pushed Tori over the edge. The cops would then come to foil the party. No one will have seen or heard from Tori after the cops came until the next day at school, when Tori challenged Sam. That sparked the all-out brawl. She mostly just wanted revenge on Sam for everything that she's done to her. Even if it wasn't right to resort to violence, I can still understand where she was coming from. The fight, of course, between the two of them would end with Sam being victorious, Miguel obviously being put in the coma, Robbie running off, and Tori getting expelled and put on probation for starting it all. Tori's arc in Season 3 sees her quitting Cobra Kai after the school fight because she wants to put her focus on staying out of trouble and working as much as she can so she can support her sick mother and little brother. She gets forced into a tough situation where she struggles to make ends meet for rent, or else she's gonna have to sleep around with the sleazy landlord. And thankfully for her, with the assistance of Kreese, he paid her a visit to come back to the dojo rent-free because the other students weren't natural fighters like her. Still faced with her landlord problem, even though she didn't come out directly and say it, Kreese would quickly pick up on it and put the landlord in his place. This would fix the issue for Tori regarding rent and allow her to come back to the dojo and regain her spot as the top student with Hawk. And just when you think Tori would turn a new leaf, she would just go back to her ruthless self, just as we start showing sympathy for her early on in the season. It's clear that she still wants revenge on Sam when she showed up at the arcade hoping to end things there, but was unsuccessful when Sam hid because of her PTSD from the school fight. Once Robbie finally got out of juvie, he ran into Tori at the probation office and is ready to fight her for what she did at the school fight. But Tori quickly explained to him that Sam cheated on him and it isn't fair that they're the only ones taking the most punishment while everyone got to go back to the way things were. She also warned him that Sam will turn on him, which eventually came true when Robbie paid a visit to the Miyagi-Do dojo, seeing Sam and Miguel together again. While basically living at the Cobra Kai dojo, Robbie is noticed by Tori, who is mocked by her for trying to run away. She says that taking all the hate that's inside him and channeling it will make him even stronger. And this would lead Tori to invite Robbie to help them steal the snake from the zoo for Sensei Kreese. And after they did return to the dojo with the snake, Kreese would inform them about Miguel and Sam working together to save the tournament, which greatly angered Tori and Robbie. Kreese would then dismiss the class, causing Tori to storm out. And after leaving, Tori would go to Sam's house with 7 other Cobra Kai members and physically attacks the Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang students, who had just formed a truce hoping to give Sam what she believes she deserves that night. The two would eventually fight it out once more, with Sam again gaining the upper hand on Tori, and Tori, being enraged, said that the rivalry will never be over, and to add insult to injury, she would then learn at this moment that Hawk had just switched sides to betray Cobra Kai. As we head into season 4, this is where things for Tori take a huge turn for her character. She starts out as very upset with the Cobra Kai students for messing around after they just took the loss at the LaRusso house. She really started off this season by taking a leadership role by putting everyone in their place and criticizing them, especially when she harassed Robbie for just hanging around the dojo and not actually joining yet. But what reels Robbie in to join is that when she once again tells him that Sam doesn't care about him, she only cares about what she wants, and once this is again proved, when Sam is confronted by Robbie hoping he'll come back, it causes Robbie to embrace Cobra Kai. And like season 3, Tori still needed to work multiple jobs to support her family, and at the sushi restaurant she's of course confronted by Amanda LaRusso, who threatens Tori with the police to leave Sam alone until the tournament. This would cause Tori's temper to build, and she would lash out at customers and her boss, which would of course cause her to be fired. And Kreese would notice that something is troubling Tori, and she would tell him about this interaction with Amanda. Kreese would then shed light on Tori's situation to Amanda, and she would then start to have a little bit of sympathy towards her because maybe she sees a little bit of herself in Tori. Attempting to help out, Amanda would leave groceries at Tori's doorstep, only to be confronted Tori about it at the dealership, delivering a promise that she'll embarrass Sam at the tournament for all that she's done. And since Tori is now fired from the sushi restaurant, she's going to be needing to make money fast, and since she's on probation, it isn't exactly easy to find a job. So she found this job where she needed to dress like a mermaid and tell stories to children about princesses or something like that. And after being constantly mocked by Sam in public, she quit directly on site and stormed off very upset. And as Tori was leaving, Amanda came up to her once again, saying that she can't keep blaming Sam for everything that she did. And perhaps the most important thing is that she shed light that the world isn't always out to get her, and sometimes you need to just accept the help that some people are trying to give. Days would pass, and right as she's about to head into class at Cobra Kai, she's visited by her aunt, who's just trying to steal her mom's survivor benefits. And her aunt says because of her criminal record, she thinks she's going to get them and steal them away, causing her to have even less money for her brother and her mother. Not knowing what to do and no one to turn to, Tori has no choice but to head to Amanda to seek help that she offered earlier. Tori was just now starting to make the right choices for her life by getting back into school, seeking a therapist, and even promising to leave Sam alone until the All Valley. But just as things are starting to look up for Tori, this is where Sam starts lashing out at her publicly for all the things Tori's done for her, mostly because this is Tori's most vulnerable state and Sam sees this as an opportunity to attack her. As the hype builds and the tournament looms closer and closer, prom still needs to happen first, and since Tori is now in school, she's eligible to attend and decides to bring Robbie as a tactic, at first used to get inside the heads of Sam and Miguel, as they are both their exes. And with the help of Terry Silver's wealth, they're able to arrive to the prom in style with very nice clothes and even drive a Ferrari. But as the night goes on, they do accomplish their goal of getting inside the heads of Sam and Miguel, but they do begin to develop feelings for one another and start to not care if they were making Sam and Miguel jealous. And as they were slow dancing, Tori explains to Robbie how much this tournament means to her and that if she can win, she'll be able to look herself in the mirror and know that she was the best at something for once. And it was very interesting to see that at Stingray's after party, Tori and Robbie were actually working together in a fight against Sam and Miguel that Sam started. The night actually ended in happiness for once for Tori as she spent it with Robbie, and it was really nice to see her happy for once. So now the All Valley has arrived and the score is to be settled with her and Sam with the separate girl division now in place because it's a no-brainer that Tori and Sam would square off, especially in the finale. And that's exactly what happened. They both practically steamrolled through the competition and ended up in the final match where it all came down to who won that would determine the outcome of Grand Champion. But before the match though, Amanda did come up to Tori in the hallway right before the fight and was happy that she was keeping up with everything that was bettering her life, like with school and her therapist and all that stuff. But Amanda did have one last request with how Tori could repay her, and that was for her to just fight by the rules, which Tori ended up accepting. And Amanda did say that she was rooting for Sam to win the fight, but what she was really rooting for is that this rivalry between the two of them to finally be ended for good. As the match started with Sam now fighting aggressively with Eagle Fang techniques, Tori is caught off guard, not knowing what to do. So she goes to Sensei Kreese and Silver asking for their guidance. Silver of course wanted Tori to fight dirty by elbowing her other eye, but Tori explains that she doesn't want to fight dirty, but Kreese steps in and actually has a moment of redemption where he tells her that she's been fighting her whole life and tells Silver to let her fight how she wants. Tori would heed this lesson from Kreese, and after a hard-fought match, she finally came away with a victory against Sam. And after winning, she ignored the fact completely that she won and went to go make sure that Sam was okay, until the Cobras eventually grabbed her and started celebrating. And as they were all in the parking lot celebrating their victory, you can see how happy Tori is that she actually came away victorious. But she quickly realizes that she forgot her gym bag in the locker room, where on her way there she overhears Silver talking with the official about how he almost backed out of the deal and that the money will be in his account in the morning. Word is out, the tournament was rigged. The moment finally Tori got a win, it's taken away from her because Silver cheated. My main gripe with Tori's character throughout the series thus far was that she was very one-note in seasons 2 and 3. And while during those 2 seasons we did get some flashes of her being a good person, but they were quickly overshadowed by her thirst for revenge against Samantha. Even through all of that, season 4 changed everything for me completely, because what really clicked for her was being able to change for the better was Amanda. Her whole life she really hasn't had anyone reach out a helping hand other than perhaps Kreese in minor instances. Her mother is on dialysis, her father is non-existent in the picture right now, and her aunt is only looking for a cash grab. She's always had to do things for herself, and that's why I think she was offended and rubbed the wrong way when Amanda tried to help at first. It's because she never knew what it was like to be helped out. But thankfully she took a chance and trusted Amanda, and that led her to be back in school, having a therapist to talk about her problems and help out with her anger issues and her family life. What really looked like a major long shot in the past seasons finally came to fruition this season when she put her anger for Samantha to a halt. She may still not like her, but she isn't straight up trying to attack her anymore. Tori making these important changes in her life will benefit what's to come for her future by keeping her out of juvie, giving her a decent education, and actually has turned her into a respectable and upstanding person. I'm happy to say that I have finally sympathized with the character of Tori and was for sure rooting for her throughout the majority of the season 4, which I can't say was the case in the past. I'm really excited for what's to come in the future seasons with Tori and just hope that her days are over and her and Sam can finally bury the hatchet and work together. But with that being said, guys, that'll do it for this video. Be sure to let me know down below in the comments section what do you think of the character of Tori and her journey throughout the seasons of Cobra Kai. You know what to do next. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and make sure you're subscribed to Strike First Media. I got plenty more Cobra Kai seasons 4 and 5 and character analysis videos coming that you won't want to miss. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.